Hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Today, in this session, we have, for everyone's request, we have started this platform to spread the knowledge of pharmaceutical guidelines and pharmaceutical arena to budding pharmacists and young pharmacists to know and nurture their career in pharmaceutical arena. So, on this Sunday morning, we have a session on there has been recent changes in the CGMP guidelines. So we thought we should have one session on this, so everyone will get to know about this, and everyone must know because there has been a huge changes. And today, to enlighten and to know these CGMP guidelines, we have speaker none other than Mr. Yashwant Pawar sir from Unichem Laboratory, Mumbai. So, uh, without wasting much time, I hand over this session to Pratik Wakchore to introduce our speaker. Yes, Pratik.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Hello and welcome all. We are feeling honored and we are going to back another success story in our initiative. Yes, because of our today's most respected guest and renowned LMS Tycoon, Tyson accepted our initiative to be in our live webinar, and here the moment comes. Mr. Yashwant Madan Pawar, chemical engineer by profession and influential trainer by choice. Then MBA Finance, L and OD professional. Sir has submitted assignments at leading level with a reputed organization for L and OD function. He is accountable for GXP trainings and KMS compliance, working in support of corporate values to demonstrate strong and visible support of the organization. Pawar sir is well versed with the following skills: technical training, regulatory training, and having the core function of my work of his work, management of the training documentation, employee engagement initiatives, leadership development initiatives, performance management systems, lateral and campus recruitment, employment counseling, Gurukul initiative, have been first to implement programs at Ahmednagar site for Sun Pharma. Power Source has major roles at Unichem. Functional and compliance lead to corporate responsible for all the six sites of Unichem. Project manager for LMS implementation across Unichem. Initiating the orientation of change management to adopt the LMS, ensuring the initiative of all the quality requirements across sites and compliance. Lead for initiating the upskilling activities across Unichem. Sir, career's vision to provide as a L and OD professional. The focus is on the core competencies of technical training and regulatory compliance. The experience of handling various assignments has transformed the focus of need of organizational development. This is something what transform the focus on our organization need to focus to sustain in the future, and of course looking for contributing more in his perspectives. Ours also have hobbies like driving, sports, singing. Recently, I've been doing some treks and has been a fascinating experience. Professional experience and accomplishments. Unichem Laboratories Limited, Mumbai. Senior manager, technical training and compliance from 19th August 2019. Then functional training and compliance across Unichem. Training need analysis, upskillings. Then sirs have some projects. LMS project manager for implementation across all sites of Unichem. HRMS project implementation. Lead for computer system validation, documentation and execution. Then HR process automation. Project lead for implementation of systems. Sun Pharmaceutical Industries Limited, Ahmednagar, L and OD, heading the L and OD function since 2010 till 14th August 2019. Sir submitted multiple audit exposures with great positive results. Example, USFD audits at Ahmednagar plant 2012, 2015, 2018. And Pawar sir is also involved in setting up training functions, creating a learning culture by developing and rolling out training initiatives, understanding the development needs identified during the TNI process, training need identification, development and rollout training calendar, Team for improvements identified for plant training and activities, soft skill initiatives, MDP and SSDP sessions supporting the Technical Training Academy at Baroda. The Technical Training Academy has been set up in Baroda. The support and guidance to set up dummy plant at the academy and creating document to create a working environment supporting the academy by sharing the training modules and the site specific requirement. Pre-employment training, a training program for recruitment and filtering process of fresh graduates. Then Gurukul 10 plus 2 training program. Then annual CGMP refresher training, employee engagement program, owner at site, and coordinator for the McKinsey Initiative Leadership Development Program, site coordinator for Great Place to Work GPTW, site coordinator and process owner for the quality communication program rollout globally at Sun Pharma. Sir has completed the following projects: Sun Pharma Learning Management System, some total 8.8 version, upgrading to 17.1.2 implemented. In USV Limited, Chipudu, Mr. Pawar is work on products clopidogrel SCL, metformin SCL, irbesartan SCL, glipizide, glibenclamide, process and quantity improvements, improvement in the yield of irbesartan SCL with increase in the batch size, close monitoring of the process, creating safety awareness to avoid the effects of azides, process improvement in clopidogrel SCL through proper crystallization. Additional responsibilities, then responsible for the review of all the production SOPs, ERP operations for all the production plants, planning and release of batches. We are appreciate our sir's times and sharing our sincere vote of thanks towards us. Without taking your further time, we request Mr. Pawar sir to start his session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pratik, very much. Thanks for that introduction. I have been doing this in API since a long time in production, and then I came into training because this was my part of interest, and learning happens more through training. So that was my actually coming into the training part. So without wasting more time, let us start the topic. So today we are going to talk about the upgradations in CGMP guidelines and opportunities in the pharmaceutical industry, and why these opportunities arise in pharmaceutical industry. So the broader outline of today's session will be regulatory agencies and the geographies. Then the historical perspective, what all changes are happening and why they are happening. Then what are the different world organizations and the good manufacturing practices. And afterwards, we will have one question and answer session in which I will just try to respond to your questions, if any. And in case there are some specific questions, I can always get back to you. You can contact me at any point of time. So the first part is pharmaceutical industry is a highly regulated industry. There are many rules and regulations of different organizations, countries, and that is the reason we need to comply with the rules and regulations of those specific countries, geographies, wherever we need to market our products. For India, the specific market is the US FDA. So all of us know it is one of the critical. So getting an US FDA approval is one of the most important, thing for the pharmaceutical industries. For India, it is the CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which controls the regulatory requirements within our country. For UK, it is the Medicine and Health Products Regulatory Agency. In short, we call it as an MHRA. For Australia, it is TGA, that is Therapeutic Goods Administration. Japan, it's the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. And one more agency also works for Japan, that is the PMDA. For Europe, it is European Medicine Agency, that is EMEA. Canada Health Canada is their regulatory agency. Brazil, Anvisa. China, it's State Food and Drug Administration, and similarly for many other countries, they are having their own guidelines or rules and regulations that all the pharmaceutical industry, if you are manufacturing and marketing your products in those specific areas, countries, you need to follow the guidelines of each and every country. So this is just a map of the various regulatory agencies where they are situated world across. Right. So going to the historical perspective, FDA rules and regulations. So actually, these rules and regulations have a long history. Since 1980s, the rules and regulations started becoming stringent, and over the period of time, many rules and regulations are coming up. For the FDA, it is more about the 21 CFR and the different parts of it, like Part 4, Part 11, Part 210, Part 211. These are the different rules and regulations which actually regulate the pharmaceutical industry. CFR essentially means Code of Federal Regulations, right? So since 2013, if you see in the recent past, the guidelines have been changing continuously, and have been different upgradations in the guidelines. So there are continuous revisions happening, may it relate to the data integrity or the biological products and the method validations, or the computer system validation, or the data integrity part. So there are different whenever different kind of issues rise, the different types of there are upgradations in the guidelines. Similarly, if you see for the European Union also, there are changes happening continuously year after year in the GMP. So different things like how the equipment should be, what should be the production processes, again good distribution practices of the products, medicinal products, and many other things, mostly related to validation and all. Similarly, if you see the PICS regulations, that also you can see that since 2012, 13, 14, 15. So in recent past, there have been continuous upgradation in the guidelines. Okay, WHO is one of the right now, like everyone is aware during this COVID period, that WHO has been playing a very critical role in providing the guidelines for the control of the COVID pandemic. So WHO is one of the most important, and the basic GMP that each and every pharmaceutical industry has to follow comes from the WHO perspective. So each and every organization, that even any company that manufactures pharmaceutical products in India also, each and every company has to pass the audits which are regarding to the WHO requirements or the regulations. So you can see that there have been a continuous improvement or the changes in the guidelines, and these are a continuous kind of activity that happens. ICH ICH has been a major you know a, con- uh, an organization which was set up by initially by countries like US, Japan, and European countries. It was formulated around the 1990s, and then the ICH guidelines came into effect from 5th of November 2000. It was broadly divided into quality, efficacy, safety of the products. So there are different guidelines related to that. In quality, it specifically talks about the good manufacturing practices for active pharmaceutical ingredients. Then the guidelines related to the stability, guidelines related to method validations, guidelines related to the quality risk management, and the quality by design kind of a thing. So initially there were like Q8 kind of. So Q1 is the first guideline, Q2, so Q7 is specifically for ICH for APIs, GMP for APIs. And now recently they have published Q12, which talks more about the product life cycle. So it is very important to understand these guidelines also. So this is also a continuous kind of an improvement happening in the ICH guidelines and rules and regulations, which need to be followed by all the countries who are the members of this ICH Council or Forum. And the it is called as the International Conference on Harmonization for the pharmaceutical industry. So these are the different world organizations that we already saw. WHO, that is World Health Organization. Then PAHO, that is Pan American Health Organization. International Conference on Harmonization, ICH. World Intellectual Property Organization. So these are some different world organizations that provide guidelines, rules, and regulations for the pharmaceutical industry. So here we can see the roles and responsibilities. So primarily, WHO right now we actually know during this pandemic we have been very much familiar with the role that WHO has played across the world. Okay, the primary role is to direct and coordinate international health within the United Nations systems. The main areas of work are like health systems, promoting health through the life science courses, and non-communicable diseases, communicable diseases, right? Corporate services, preparedness, surveillance, and response to any kind of diseases that come up, and governing the GMP part for the manufacturing industry. International Conference on Harmonization, specifically, as I told, it was formed in 1990 by specifically initially it was Japan, US, and the European countries which were the members, and now India is also signed and have become the member of ICHQ7. So any country where this ICHQ7 guidelines are accepted or applicable, so any industry who wants to market their product, manufacture their product, have to follow the ICH guidelines. Okay, so that was one thing. So as I told you, ICH has been providing the quality guidelines for the pharmaceutical industry. Now coming to good manufacturing practices, that is GMP. So this GMP is always, has a small letter called C. That is the current good manufacturing practices. So that always means that, see, there is always an upgradation in the technology. There are many automizations coming up, many different requirements coming up. So GMP is a kind of a dynamic thing which keeps on changing, and to accommodate the current requirements of the industry, the automation part that comes up, the technological improvements that are coming up. So to accommodate all these things, we always call it as a current good manufacturing practices. So that is why it is called as a CGM. So the first question arises that in a pharmaceutical industry, see, we have different departments. Like there is a production department, there is a quality department, there is a quality control department, quality assurance department. Then there is an engineering department. Then we have warehouse. Then we are having HR department. Then finance department. So while working in a factory setup, in a manufacturing setup, who should be responsible for GMP? So primarily, as a layman, anyone will say that the people who are actually producing the particular products are responsible for the GMP. We may extend it more to the quality control part or the quality assurance part, but it is not limited to this. So GMP is not only limited to production, not limited to quality control, and not even limited to quality assurance, but it is actually it expands to wherever whatever things impact the quality of the product, all those things come into the perspective of the good manufacturing practices. So in a factory setup, GMP is the responsibility of each and every person who is working in the factory, be it from the security gate up to the quality control where the dispatches happen. So everyone who are engaged into the manufacturing and marketing of the product, each and every person in a manufacturing setup is responsible for the GMP, that is good manufacturing practices. So let us understand what GMP actually is. So GMP, as normally is understood, is a part of quality assurance, which assures that the products are consistently produced and controlled in such a way that they meet standards which are appropriate to their intended use. So, for example, if you are manufacturing a medicine which is to be used as an anti-diabetic, so whenever any person, a patient, a end user who consumes that particular medicine, each that medicine should exhibit the same intended properties for which it has been manufactured, or for the purpose for which it has been manufactured. So if we manufacture a medicine for a diabetic patient, so to cure his diabetes, it should not work on his blood pressure or some other kind of anything. So that is the reason we need to follow the GMP. See, when we talk about quality control is testing of the products, right? But what happens is, see, the batches that are manufactured specifically in the API. So, just before proceeding, I will just let you know that this pharmaceutical industry is also broadly divided into API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredients, and the formulation part. API is where the drugs are produced in bulk quantity. That is, the powders in powder form, the drugs are produced, and formulation is where the APIs are converted into tablets, excipients, okay, injectables, etc. So when we talk about API and we talk about the quality, the testing is not done on the entire product. So the batch sizes may vary from grams, like in products of peptides, or in kgs for in products of oncology products which come in, or which are common products like the anti-diabetics or anti-ulcer, which are manufactured in tons. So we do not actually test the total quantity of the product. Only some samples are taken based on some mathematical equations, and based on that, the testing is done of the product. So by like a batch size of 1000 kg, and we are having 100 grams of sample which is tested for that. So we actually can't, ensure that we are getting the exact quality of the product. So for that purpose, we need to ensure that quality is built within the product. Now that is the reason we need to follow the good manufacturing practice. So let us go further for with this. So GMP, what is the impact of GMP on me? So where actually GMP impacts me? Okay, what is the impact on me? So if I am working, am I working with the product? Am I working with the materials? Then the safety, the person safety, your own safety, as well as the safety of the product becomes very important. That is the reason. That is one of the impacts. Am I consuming the product? Am I the end user? In case I am the end user of the product, will GMP impact me? We need to think of this. Is my family impacted with GMP? I am a pharmacist. I am manufacturing a product. The product is coming out in the market. It may be possible that my own family may be consuming the same product. So whether I am following the GMP or not following the GMP, whether it is impacting me also. So that also becomes very important. Now we look after what is impact of the GMP on me. Now what is my impact on GMP? So how do I impact uh, what how do my actions impact on the GMP, that we will look. So the first and most important thing is, do I know what I am doing? Do I know my processes? Do I know my equipments? Do I know my instruments? Do I know the procedures for testing the products? Do I know the procedure for packing the products? Do I know the procedure for labeling the products? Do I know how to dispatch the products? So all these things. So do I know what I am doing? It's very, very important, which will impact on the good manufacturing practices. Then we are having SOPs, that is the standard operating procedures. So for specific areas, for specific instruments, equipments, for specific processes, we are having the standard operating procedures to ensure that we are following a consistent process, no matter who the person, any person who is working in that particular area. We need to follow a specific standard process. So do I follow that process exactly as it is written? Do I read the SOPs? Do I understand the SOPs? Do I understand what exact output I need to get from this? It's very important. And the most important part in pharmaceutical industry is the documentation. So it is always told, like, do what is written. That is the first part. That is the second part that we talked about. That follow the SOPs. Do what is written. Write what you do is this part. Do I document each and everything? Okay, so documentation is very important. Uh, Normally, see, I will give a simple example. Like we want to do a party, so we will decide that we will go to a particular. We'll decide on what party will be there, and then we decide to go to a particular, food outlet. We know we can go, we can see, we can check the hygiene part, whether it is clean, the clean and hygiene part of that. But in case of pharmaceutical industry, this is not possible for the end user. Most of the end users are very much not aware of how the pharmaceutical industry works, what all hygiene practices are happening and all. And whenever the medicines are consumed, we do not actually look into the details. We are not able to, kind of have a choice on what kind of medicine is there, what is the quality of the medicine, because people are not aware. They don't have the knowledge of the products and all. So it is very important. So that is the reason governments of different of all the countries actually, and there are different agencies like the WHO or ICH, ICH, who actually regulate this industry to ensure that the correct products, quality products, go to the end user. Now, how do they ensure that this is happening? This by the documentation that we do. So the documentation part becomes very important. It is the only thing which proves that you have followed your SOP, you have done a particular process, and that you can show it to the auditors whenever the audits happen. So that is the way. How do I ensure the product is protected from contamination? So that part also like we covered. And how do we avoid the mix-ups? So if we follow the processes, if we document the same thing, all these things get ensured. So that is our impact on the GMP. So here, before going to the next slide, I will just tell you a short story, kind of a thing. Said like whenever we go to a temple, right? We automatically, kind of clean ourselves. Like we take bath, everything, and then only we go to the temple. While entering the temple, we ensure that we remove our shoes or chappals, whatever we wear outside the temple. In some temples, we have some facility to clean again our hands and this ourselves, and then only we enter the temple. We follow each and every aspect, no matter anybody is monitoring us or not monitoring us. So, pharmaceutical industry is a similar thing. We need to follow all the procedures, all the rules and regulations, no matter what we are doing. It is pharmaceutical industry is nothing but a kind of a worship. Like by the product that you are going to produce, and the end user going to consume that product, he is going to feel better because he is ill, and then he's going to feel better by after consuming the product. So it becomes very important, and you never know who is the end user, and the end user doesn't know the person who has actually manufactured. So it is very important that we follow. We need to understand this part, that what is our impact on the GMP. So, going further, GMP is specifically designed to, kind of minimize the risks involved in pharmaceutical productions, which cannot be eliminated through testing. As I told you, testing is just assurance, but it cannot be 100% thing. So we need to see that the you know uh, the products, the design, the quality is inbuilt into the product. So GMP regulations represent non-negotiable and minimum standards. So whatever rules and regulations are there, these are the minimum minimum requirements by the guidelines. So this is also important. We can do something excess than what is the minimum required thing, but the minimum required thing we need to comply with. Okay. So as I told you, GMP covers all the aspects of manufacturing, right from receiving the material up to the dispatch of the material, all the activities within this. So there were different incidences that happened in the world. That was the reason, like the GMP came into force. As I told you, after 1980s, the guidelines started coming into force. So this is mainly to kind of minimize the risk of contaminations, eliminate the risk of mix-ups or any other kind of errors that are happening. Okay, this is specifically for patient safety and satisfaction. Scope of GMP starts from pharmaceutical development, technology transfer, then commercial manufacturing, and post-marketing surveillance. Okay, so the quality has to be monitored right from the development of the product up to the consumption of the product. So the quality criteria for GMP is, the first one is the safety, that the product should be safe, and it should be free from unexpected side effects. The identity of the product should be exactly for what that material is related to. The strength or the concentration of the active ingredient, and the purity of the product, which it should not be adulterated and with any other undesirable or physical entities. And specifically, it should meet all the standards and expectations. So this SIS-PQ is a very important thing which you can note down for yourself: safety, identity, strength, purity, and quality of the product. As we already discussed about, the FDA's Code of Federal Regulations 21 CFR, in which there are different guidelines, like Part 11, which talks about computer system validation, Part 210 to 111, which talks about GMP for API. MH similarly, we are having MHRA guidelines. Then, as I told you, ICH guidelines. Then Schedule M is Schedule M of Drugs and Cosmetic Acts is for India, which talks about the GMP for in Indian geography. Then Health Canada and the TGA or the Therapeutic Goods Act of Australia. So quality system is important for, as I told you, each and every aspect of the industry. That is the equipments, input of the materials, persons, and the process. All these things give us the product quality. Okay. Why the persons are important? We already talked about what is my impact on GMP. That is the reason we can say that why persons are very important. They are involved no matter. See, pharmaceutical industry cannot be fully automated, so we have to depend on people. So quality of people should is a very important aspect in pharmaceutical industry. So be their education, be the experience, the kind of trainings, and the very important part is the behavior of the people regarding the GM. So we need to have adequate people. We need to have job descriptions, written job descriptions, and responsibilities in place. Personal hygiene has been a very important part, and now everyone is aware due to this current pandemic how important the personal hygiene part is for the GMP. So wearing clean, protective apparels, headwears, coverings, and all, restricting wearing of cosmetics and jewelry, everything. So all these things are required to avoid the contamination and cross contamination of the product, and for the product safety as well as the person safety. So, eating, chewing, smoking, drinking, all these habits are actually, prohibited in the manufacturing areas wherever the products are manufactured, be it API or formulations. So, contamination is presence of any, substance which makes the product unclean or impure. Cross contamination can is kind of stresses of the products manufactured in house. So both of these things need to be avoided. For this, there are various engineering controls that are there. Okay. So contamination is kind of chemical, microbiological, or physical contamination. Cross contamination talks about the traces of other pharmaceutical products. So both of the things are kind of hazardous or risk to the patient safety. There are different, kind of engineering aspects, environmental controls. So clean rooms are there, good equipment design practices are there, appropriate controls on utility supplies. Okay, so all these things, control on the input materials, all these things avoid the contamination of the product. So it is very important. People are the main source of contamination and cross contamination, and we need to avoid this. For this, risk management is very important. So quality risk assessments of the processes and the controls is continuously done. Facilities should be good. As we already talked about, smoking, drinking is not allowed in the facilities. They should always be in a good state of good condition. Okay, so that there are no regulatory observations, or because there are many observations related to the facility or the warning letters. Equipment should be of suitable size, suitable design. They should be such that the people can operate them easily. They should be easily, can be cleaned and maintained also. And we need to avoid the cross contamination. So the suitable, material of construction should be used for particular products. Control on materials. So it starts from the raw materials that are coming in, the different chemicals that are required in the quality control labs, the intermediate bulk products or the labeling products, the material that may have come recalled material or for any market complaint. So we need to have proper procedures and controls on the materials also. Labeling is one of the most important things. So once, see, most of the chemical powders, specifically in API, the physical nature or the color of the powders are kind of white to white. Most of the powders, some of the powders are yellow, but most of the powders are white in color. So you just can't tell looking at one specific powder that this is of a specific product or that product. So it is very important that labeling should be done continuously, right from the start of starting with the raw materials till the end product, which is dispatched to the customers. Production systems line clearance is one very important area aspect in which the areas wherever a particular product has been manufactured and that specific area is to be used for any other product, we need to see that line clearance is done. So we will be in future, if we get an opportunity, we will see that we can kind of elaborate on all these specific functions that are into the uh, pharmaceutical industry. So packaging, we already talked about packaging lines and labeling. So this is also very important, taking the records and all the things. All the quality control, again, all the components are to be tested before use, and it should be approved. The result should confirm the specifications. Specification standards should be established and approved by the quality unit. Quality control is also one of the very important department or function in pharmaceutical industry. Similarly, validation. So validation of equipments, validation of processes, validation of the methods that are used for testing the products, validation of the utility systems, that is water or nitrogen supply or any other kind of a thing. So validation even of the computer systems. So this is one of the very important aspects in pharmaceutical industry, and it is gaining importance day by day. So this again has a very kind of a high level of documentation is involved in validation, and a very important aspect in pharmaceutical industry. So it is all about teamwork at all the time. It is not a single person who is actually working and preparing a quality product. Everyone is responsible, and all the aspects that we discussed are one or the other opportunity in the pharmaceutical industry. So you can become an subject matter expert in validation. You can become a subject matter expert in computer systems validation. You can become a subject matter expert in the production equipments, production planning part, or the warehouse stores. So each and every aspect of the rules and regulations that are there create one job opportunity into it. So it is very important that you find out your own interest, function of interest that you are, and then try to kind of read, learn about the different things. One more thing that I would like to share here is while we were talking about the different guidelines, there are different websites which actually I did not write into this presentation, but I may share with your friends also. So the ich.org is one of the websites where you can get the guidelines related to ICH. FDA.gov.in is another website. Then there are different websites like pharmaceutical guidelines website is there. Then pharmaceuticalonline.com is one of another website where you will get different materials, knowledge materials, which is which will help you in gaining knowledge about the pharmaceutical industry, and specifically the US FDA, FDA.gov.in website also shares with us the different warning letters that are you know uh, given to the different organizations when the USFDA inspectors audit do their audit. So from that also we can have case studies and we can learn more from that. So pharmaceutical industry is all about kind of continuously updating yourself and continuously gaining knowledge about the industry. So I think within this short period, I could cover most of the aspects of the industry, starting from the history to the GMP part of the industry. So from it is kind of completion from my side. We are open for any kind of question and answers from your side. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, sir. It was a very informative session for all of us, as you have covered all aspects of GMP, and I'm sure students have been enlightened by your informative session, and they will get to know and they will think of making career in GMP. So now session is open for question and answer. So if you have any questions, you can post in comment section. We'll ask to sir. Yes, you can. If you have any questions, you can ask. No language barrier. You can ask in any language.
Yeah, there is no language barrier. Hindi, Marathi, English, Gujarati, comfortable. Good industries abroad is see nowadays. First of all, being an Indian, I will tell you that Sun Pharma. I have worked in Sun Pharma, and it is the one of the topmost industries of India and in the world also. So it is fourth in the world, the biggest generic organization. Pfizer, then Merck, uh, Mylan. So these are some of few of the industries that I can name immediately, which are big industries abroad also and within India also. Teva Pharmaceuticals is again one of the big generic industries in pharmaceutical.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have question from my side. There
Yeah.
has been what happens. Product goes into market, but sometimes despite having green signal from regulatory bodies, they recall the product because of some adverse event. So I think they have at the time of production they comply with all the GMP guidelines, but still they recall. So what happens? What was the reason? How they do?
So see, actually, that is what I was telling about. Uh, we do the testing and everything. Okay, we try to follow all each and every guidelines and all those things. But still,
Yes.
there many a times few lapses happen. Okay, and because of that, and as I told you, we can't 100% test or check the product. So that is the reason there is a continuous improvement in the GMP requirements, rules, and regulations to ensure that the product is of quality. Because that is the reason why such kind of lapses happen. There may be a labeling issue. There may be some foreign product which went into that product, and because of the most of the errors are human errors that happen because whenever there are any findings in the inspections also these kind of errors happen. So that is the reason these market recalls and all these things happen. So recently, Sun Pharma and Strides have recalled few of their products because of one of the uh, I think one carcinogenic material being seen in that product. So there are these kind of things happen.
Okay. Yes, there is a one more question. So, if we want to make career, we do like a bachelor degree in pharmacy, but we don't get that much knowledge to make career in GMP. So if I want to make any take any online course or external courses, so are there any courses to get?
There are few, kind of institutes which provide courses on GMP, but I would always suggest that job is the best location where you learn GMP in a most proper, appropriate way. Because ultimately it is all about the implementation part of GMP and not just about learning. So while you are into a job, you are working in an industry, you need to continuously update, read the guidelines, see what new updates are coming up and how they are applicable to your work area.
Yes. Yes, guys, if you have any question, you can ask.
I think there
I
is
would.
a question from Abhijit.
Yeah, there is one question from Goraksha.
Got, yeah.
If she wants to go in R&D formulation, so what would be the path? Mean what step
Yeah, see,
she should
normally
follow?
see now in India, basically the R&D is most about re-engineering of the products. That is, basic R&D doesn't happen much in India. There are very few companies like DRL, Lupin, a bit of Sun Pharma also, but most of the part is re-engineering. That is, they go into the generics. For going into the R&D or formulations, we need to see there are many opportunities now coming up in the R&D and the formulations also. So we need to continuously see, search to the websites and see that these opportunities are there, and we can go there.
Yes. So I have one more question from my side. There, because of pandemic, there has been a race among pharmaceutical giants to make a vaccine. But they are doing agreement with third parties to what is with respect to manufacturing and supply chain. So if I mean everyone is waiting for the vaccine, but if they did not comply with CGMP guidelines, will recalling the vaccine or will be that problematic? I mean, how will be the cost mean for a human as well as pharmaceutical industries?
See, actually, when we talk about a vaccine coming in, actually developing any kind of a vaccine takes years together. So it is very much optimistic to talk about the vaccine will come in 6 months. All those things that are coming up in the media. As a pharmaceutical professional, we need not actually believe in that. So we need to ensure that we take the proper precautions during the pandemic, and it will take some time for, though whole world is behind the research that is happening across, but you might have also seen that the clinical trials of many of the companies have been stopped also during the second, third, or even the fourth stage. Recently Johnson and Johnson also stopped their trials because there was some un ill effect on one of the volunteer who was doing this testing actually. So it is very much optimistic to talk about the vaccine that will come up in the recent future. If it comes up, it is well and good, but that is a difficult thing, and that is the reason, like, see, clinical trials and all those things are there to ensure that a proper product should come into the market. So yeah, it will take some time, but for sure.
Okay. Yes, I think that's all about, I think, question and answer session. So I would like to thank you, Professor Mr. Yashwant Pawar sir, for taking his valuable time and enlightening our students about GMP guidelines and making career in pharmaceutical industry. I'm sure many of students have got the knowledge and they will try to implement in their future career. So also I would like to thank Mr. Pratik Vaksore giving a brief introduction about the speaker and uh, telling students about the speaker's background. And also least but not the last, Mr. Sumit Latmale coordinating the event very well and making all the arrangements behind the background. So thank you everyone, and thank you audience for attending this session. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. And whenever you require any kind of a guidance, I will always be available for you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.